You'll have to forgive me, I don't talk in front of crowds very often, but I do think it's important to tell our story. We initially came for our son Trent. His story started pretty much when he was born. He didn't sleep from day one, and while he did have a natural birth, it was a fairly stressful pregnancy, but he never slept. He was our first child, and we didn't know that that just wasn't normal. Like, parents love to tell their horror stories, and so we figured, well, this is just our horror story that we get to tell forever about how our child never slept. We would have to like bribe our family members to come like once or twice a month so that I could get 3 hours stretch of sleep. At 2 years old, I was still getting up 6 times a night and was exhausted. But then about that time, we noticed dietary stuff. After every meal, he would go and he would lay on the tile floor. He'd lift up his shirt and he'd lay on the tile floor where it was cold. And when he started talking, we'd ask him, like, what are you doing, buddy? Like, and he'd say, my tummy's hot. Like, it's hot. It feels good. And so we thought, okay, well, that's a little strange. And so we decided to get allergy testing. My husband was going in at the same time, so we figured, well, great. We'll do it all at the same time. And he came back with like a fairly significant slew of allergies. And so we cut those all out of the diet. We did the elimination diet. And the elimination diet brings you down to the very basic foods and then introduces things back so that you can tell what is actually bothering your stomach. And we couldn't find what was actually bothering him. He was completely gluten-free, nut-free, dairy-free. We were down to the basics, and nothing really helped. Well, we finally reached a point where he was just maintaining. Like, it wasn't ideal, but we were okay. Until he turned about 10. And at that point, he started coming up to us at night when he should be like calming down and falling asleep. And he'd come up crying and say that his stomach hurt and he couldn't relax and he couldn't fall asleep. We would, comfort him. We'd give him some Tylenol and he'd eventually fall back asleep. Well, it just kind of escalated on until this was every single night. He was on daily Ibuprofen, Tylenol, all that. And so we took him to a specialist, an enterologist and a pediatric enterologist. And he ran every test that he knew how to run. And every one came back, this child looks great. He should be normal. He went under general anesthesia. They did the scope. They looked at his stomach, his esophagus, his bowels, and they said, he should be a poster child for his guts. He's got beautiful innards. But it wasn't an answer. Finally, they just diagnosed him with anxiety-caused IBS, and put him on antidepressants and a slew of other medication, and it didn't help. It didn't help at all. We were still, every single night just holding our 11-year-old son as he cried because he was in so much pain. And that takes a toll on not only him, of course, but our entire family. Our other children, the normal ones, they were still feeling neglected because our oldest was taking all of our attention. And so we decided, okay, well, the medical route didn't work. We're going to go a natural route. So we went and saw a dietitian, like a naturopath dietitian, and she did the whole elimination diet, and we did the gut health, and we did all these enzymes and a whole process to kill out the bacteria in the gut and then repollinate it with the good bacteria, and it still was nothing. And she finally threw up her hands and said, I don't know, I can't seem to help you either. How about you go try, something for the brain. Maybe he needs more help than I can give. But out of the blue, we got a call from friends of ours who had moved out of state, and they asked, how are you guys doing? And so we kind of broke down and explained what a hard time we were having. And they said, well, just a thought out of the blue, our daughter had IBS and we went to Be Well. And it really seemed to help her. Like, you could give that a try. And we figured, well, we got nothing to lose. Like, we can try anything. And so, and I should touch on, he also still was not sleeping. He is a numbers kid. He always did well in school and math, and he loves stats and can tell you all the things. And so we got him a Fitbit, and he wears it religiously, and he would always tell us his stats. Well, his sleep score, he informed us that of a kid of his age, he was supposed to be scoring about an 80 every night. And he was, on a nightly basis, doing 50s and 60s. And so we started with Be Well, and within 2 appointments, he was at 80. He was sleeping through the night. We went from daily pain medication and, after every meal to maybe once a week. And he hardly ever comes up. And even then, he's not crying. He's not panicked. He's not in pain. He's just uncomfortable, and he wants us to know about it. And it went from daily to maybe once a week. And just the relief that gave us as parents, you can't even imagine. Like I said, he always did academically very well in school, but we would get regular calls from his teachers saying, like, he broke down in class again today. Like, somebody said something and it hurt his feelings and he burst out into tears, which is also very hard on, a 10, 11-year-old boy, where his friends are all tough and grown up and, he can't hold in his emotions. We have not got a single call this year since starting. And so the relief for our family is just astronomical. And so then we thought, well, we've got this kid sorted out. Our daughter was starting to have night terrors. She was always a great sleeper, like no problems, until she turned about 10. And then she couldn't calm down. She would hyperventilate and just rev herself up, and she wouldn't fall asleep until 3 or 4 in the morning. And then the next day is poor, and so on and so forth. And so we thought, well, hey, it worked for this one, we'll try the next one. And since starting, she went from at least once a week panic attacks to, in the past, I think, 2 months that she's been going, she's only had 2. And the sleep is hugely improved. And she is happier, and she's actually getting better grades in school. And she's made friends where she's always had a hard time making friends. And so I just have to say thank you, because it's nothing we would have thought of chiropractic care. Like, we did everything we thought we knew how to do, and I'm at a loss for words. If it wasn't for a single phone call, like, we would still be lost. And so, yeah, I just want to say thank you guys.